Hello, Teen Wolf fans. Tonight we're discussing Season 6, Episode 6, Ghosted, with special guest Corey Trench. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yeah! What an awesome episode!
Yes!
We're so hungry.
Like the wolf.
Yes! Hey guys, so once again, we're discussing Season 6, Episode 6, Ghosted. I'm your host, Kristen Snyder. You can follow me at Cinematic Escape. Joining me, the lovely Alana Jordan.
What up, everybody? I'm Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl.
And if you were wondering who edited the seamless episode, we have him in studio, Corey Trench.
Good to be back. Been a while.
Yeah, last time you were on, you had assisted edited an episode,
Yes.
and this time you have moved up the ladder.
I have.
You are editor now. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Oh, well, it's been a great journey, and I just have a lot of people to thank for that. And chief among them is Ed Abrams, who was the person I assisted, and he was huge in getting me bumped up, and also Jeff Davis and Blaine Williams. So, like, those guys vouched for me. Thank you. So, yeah, it was big. It was a big moment. So, yeah, and this was a great experience cutting this episode because I felt it was so unique.
It was such a good episode. You did
you.
such a good job, man.
I really liked it.
Thank
If you
you. Had a lot
guys
of help.
at home have a question for Corey, you can go ahead, give us a call at 424-253-0504. And if you're just getting your pen, again, that's 424-253-0504. We'd love to hear your questions for Corey and your just general discussion points for the show, because what an awesome episode. I love the 80s. As soon as I heard that song, I was like, we're going back.
Oh, yeah.
It was so good. Anytime they have wolf references in the songs, I get so excited.
The funniest thing about that was, okay, so when I was cutting that scene, I had score in there originally, tempted in, and Dino was going to do a piece for it. And Russell, who directed the episode, when he was doing his director's cut, he had said, we need an 80s song in here. And I was like, okay, yeah, well, I don't know, find something that sounds 80s, like stock music or whatever. And he's like, no, we need a real artist to be in the show. And I was like, oh, like Duran Duran? And because he had directed their videos and stuff. And he goes, oh, yeah, that sounds great. Well, pick a song. And I'm like, what? So, I mean, we ended up going with Hungry Like the Wolf, and it was all thanks to Russell and our music supervisor, Laura Webb, that we got the song into the episode. So I was just proud to be on an episode where we got Duran Duran, and finally, it's so appropriate.
In my mind, that would take a lot of the budget, but I guess since Russell used to direct their videos, maybe he had a contact who helped you guys out.
Yeah, I just think it was personal relationships, and also Laura's helping out on that end.
Awesome.
But yeah, and it's perfect because 1987 is when the episode flashback takes place, and I think Duran Duran released Hungry Like the Wolf in 1984, so it was appropriate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Period.
That's
period
so
appropriate.
cool. Well,
But now it's Hungry Like Teen Wolf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey!
Oh, I love
Yes!
we got the sound effects on tonight. I love it.
Get ready to get punished. All puns all night long.
So I really love the beginning of this episode. Lydia walking in that mirror. I don't know if you guys were a big fan of Alice in Wonderland, the Disney show, whenever she would walk in the mirror at the beginning of every episode. So it's what it reminded me of.
Lydia through the looking glass.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad that it was sort of like that for me cutting it. I'm like, yeah, this feels like, she's stepping into a whole nother world, and like we want to establish that. And I thought Muse Visual Effects did such a great job with her putting her hand through the mirror, and so that was pretty awesome, I thought.
I love in the show too when they'll have cool transitions into things that you're like, is this just back in time? Is this another dimension? I don't know yet. And you just have to wait until it all fills in the gaps for you. So that was a really cool way to kick it off.
Cool, yeah.
And then I kind of like that it was the whole ripple that mirrored later, like with the water and the drowning and everything. Like it starts with like the water ripple in the mirror and then ends. It's like, look at them bookends. I'm all about it.
There were a lot of great transitions in the editing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So they find Canaan on the map, and they go there and, of course, discover that it's this ghost town that's been robbed of its population from the Ghost Riders.
Oh, Ghost Riders.
Who took everyone except for a banshee. And her son, but not really.
Oh, you know what was cool, though? Getting to see the carousel with the, like, blood on it that we've been seeing in the intro. That looks so neat.
It's nice
and,
to see that finally play out in a scene.
Yeah, it's making me like the intro more and more because we keep getting all the references thrown in. So it seems like nothing on the intro is random. Like, I thought the beginning of the season, like, look at all this cool random spooky B-roll, and it's like, it all ties in.
Everything on Teen Wolf has a purpose. That's what's great about it. I think everything is written for a reason, and imagery, it all ties in together, so there's going to be more stuff, so just stay tuned.
Stay tuned! So then we see Malia kind of seeing her mom and her stepmom, stepsister dead, and Theo shooting her, and we see Scott, hallucinating and seeing, the back of his mother's head bitten, which hopefully isn't foreshadowing because we've seen Mr. Douglas go wild on some people's necks.
I love the way you phrase that, too.
But then we find out that Caleb is really a hallucination of Lenore's.
Yeah, this whole town is causing everybody to have these crazy hallucinations.
What if you guys got stuck in a town, but the person who you missed the most that you had lost was there? Would you stay?
Oh, that's tough.
That is tough.
That is tough.
I feel like I probably wouldn't, but I also... Oh, there you go. I also haven't been in a situation where everybody in my town was taken by Ghost Riders. So it's like, if the person you missed the most was there, but everyone else was gone.
Right.
So you might as well be on a desert island.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, And it's like, who would you bring to the desert island? And I'm like, no one. I don't want to be on the island.
Yeah, what if the island's a ghost town? Do you stay or do you go?
It is like a Twilight Zone episode, though, because the way they... Yeah, it sets up that, like this is a trap. Like, this...
It's a trap!
Yeah, like, what's keeping Lenore there is her son, essentially. And, like... What's perfect about her character arc, though, in the episode at least, is, there's always that tendency for that character to die tragically. Like, Lenore could have died tragically, or she goes with Lydia. But I like that she stays, because it does show that this hardship of not being able to move on. And I think a lot of people go through that, like wanting to stay with their loved ones and stuff like that. So
and the irony of her, when the Ghost Riders are there and she's screaming, it's not real, exactly. When that situation was, but she's choosing to accept a reality that she knows is fake.
Yes.
That she's like, I would rather have the thing that isn't real just because it makes me feel
I want
better.
Lenore to come back, though. I feel like, I don't know anything that happens after this, but episode-wise, but I would love for her to make another appearance back.
Mm-hmm. She's a cool character.
She was helpful.
Yeah, she was.
It just kept making me think of Edgar Allan Poe, though. Like, anytime she's like, no one's leaving, I was like, Lenore's like, nevermore.
No, I definitely liked her
Quoth
character.
the Banshee, nevermore.
It was nice that Lydia came back and sort of gave her that peace of mind, though, about why she was the one who was left, right?
Yes.
So I think that also made it easier for her to stay, knowing that she was a Banshee.
And also, we're talking about mirrors and imagery and stuff like that, but the mirror of seeing, young Lenore at the beginning and Lydia. So Lydia sees herself as Lenore in a way, and she could be left behind at the end of all this. So she has a lot to think about. Like, this could be my future as Lenore in Beacon Hills.
Which is even more terrifying, really.
Yeah, to be alone in that town, I don't know about that.
Speaking of terrifying Caleb, we find out that he was drowned, and it was so, like, magically done. His room is sort of underwater, and then we do see that he's kind of covered in water the whole time. And then he, makes Scott and Malia also start drowning. I mean, that was just that whole scene in the room.
So good.
Yeah, I
it was
really
very
enjoyed that.
Ring-esque, too, with, like, the static and that little kids and old technology are always terrifying. So when you have a little kid with a VHS, I'm like, oh, bad things are gonna happen.
What was funny about
nothing good will come of this.
What was funny about that scene when they were filming it, and the production crew did it very perfectly. Like they, had water coming in and like all these electrical cords, but it was made sure the actors were safe, obviously. But the funny part about it was that TV that they use. Like I remember my parents having that TV when I was a kid. We had that same TV, so like I look at that, I'm like, that's a nostalgia trip for me. When they do the VHS tapes, and I'm like, I guess I'm getting old. I remember what that was like watching home movies on VHS and stuff like that. But it was kind of cool.
No, it was really cool. It was like you cut a mini horror film within the episode.
It was neat.
Yeah.
Which is funny too, talking about how the director would do music videos. Is that almost felt like a little mini contained creepy music video without any music.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Russell shot this very well. Like I thought everything looked really creepy, especially in the that dining room scene where we're looking at all the characters with that wide angle
up.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
so
those were great angles. But I'm sure it's also hard to have funny moments within those dark scenes, but you somehow edited that together. It was so cool, like Malia drinking the moldy lemonade. That was hilarious.
I always have fun with moments like, they're written that way too, but like it's also fun to like kind of find the right moment to accentuate the funny moments. But yeah, I was hoping, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it and laughed a lot more. And I was laughing too, because I think even in those dark moments that we go to, I like adding a little bit of comedy in there to accentuate all that. So that was cool that you guys picked up on that.
I love it.
So Lenore doesn't want any of the pack to leave. She said, enough people have left. No one's ever leaving again. And I get very worried. But then, Lydia starts to find common ground with Lenore. And she actually, talks her down to, a real banshee.
Common ground that is not, covered in lightning, which is nice and different.
Yeah, definitely.
From the ground everywhere else.
But she gets her to a point where she's like, hey, what we've been through. Please don't let me be the last one in town. And she kind of talks her into, helping them. But I find it kind of felt like, could Lenore have given her, something else? That's why I agree with you, Corey. I want her to come back because I feel like there's something else she knows.
I don't know. I don't know if it's that she knows anything else. I think she's just this broken character that has lost everything except for her love for her son. And, we keep seeing, the love being such a huge driving theme for all these characters. And just because she just has that devotion so much, I would love to see more of that and just see her be challenged and have to be pulled away from Caleb and see how she reacts.
What's an interesting point, so at this, no one's really, except for, what was her name? Teaching Lydia her banshee powers.
Meredith,
yeah. Aside from Meredith, Lydia hasn't really had an older figure teach her more of her banshee powers. So I wonder, maybe at some point, if Lenore comes back, if she taught Lydia something else, one last thing.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like it would be cool to see the opposite, where, Lenore doesn't really know that she's a banshee or what that means.
Well, that was
but
sort
Lydia,
of what it was.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of that. But if Lydia came back and was like, harness your power, because what if she could help save the people who have been turned into ghost riders?
How I feel. Yeah, I mean, why?
Cool.
I
bring the town back.
Start
a banshee school.
Ask you guys, why did Stiles send them here as a foreshadowing, or I felt like there was going to be a message here.
Well, I think it was. We knew that basically everything was going to be a ghost town, but they didn't.
Okay.
So they had to go to Canaan so they could see. Oh, this is how it ends. Everyone gets taken. We're all screwed.
This is the end unless we stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what will happen in Beacon Hills. Got it.
It was a little forewarning.
Something interesting they said, though, where people taken became ghost riders, and then they disappeared. I was kind of confused by that part. Because we've been wondering, who are the ghost riders? Who are the ghost riders? So
it would make sense. I mean, because we keep seeing more and more ghost riders, and Lydia said it was like their souls had been hollowed out, the people who were taken. So it makes sense if they just, they lose their sense of identity and then they lose their voice, literally. They get, their mouths fused and just become this amalgamous blob of nothing. It would make sense, you know? Like, if they take somebody's identity to the point that there's nothing left of them but this shell of a person.
I'd like to think that the Ghost Riders know what they're doing now. I feel like they're menacing. I want them to have a conscience of knowing what they're doing. As a lover of villains, I want the villains to be smart and have a purpose and know what they're doing.
But I can see, like, that being part of it, is that when there's nothing left of you, then you're, like, given this purpose. So they just blindly follow this purpose it's almost like zombies. Like Ghost Rider zombies, where they're like, take other ones, turn them into us.
Yeah, I'm looking
Cowboy
at the
zombies.
chat.
Cowboy zombies.
Jaden Cosso says, I have a question for you, AfterBuzz. Go ahead, Jaden. And I guess we will hear from him in a minute. Oh, some of them are saying, call in, call in. Yeah, you guys should definitely call in.
Yeah, call in. Check out our chat. We'll be looking up there, seeing what you guys have to say.
Definitely. So you can join the chat or you can join us on the phone. I want to join Stilinski in his hunt for Stiles. So
Boom.
whenever...
Look at that transition.
Yeah. So whenever Scott comes into Stilinski's office, he's like, I heard your son on the radio. I heard him. Stilinski gets actually very angry and is like, you know what? Like, go away. Like, you're not helping. Like, I didn't have a son, whatever. But it seems like it's stuck in his head a little bit because he definitely peels back that wallpaper, which we've been wanting somebody to do.
Finally.
And it looks like next week they're going to find his room behind there, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah. I've just been excited, too, to see his interactions with Claudia, too.
Yeah.
And this time
Stiles'
him
mom.
actually saying to her, you know, somebody should write a paper about how you beat this degenerative disease that... Clearly, your frontal cortex is you can't survive that, so...
I just thought of something. So you know how we were just in Canaan and everybody was hallucinating and seeing people who weren't there? What if Stilinski is hallucinating and seeing Claudia?
Ooh.
But isn't other people are seeing her too, though?
But other people saw the same. Other people saw... Both Malia and Scott saw the same hallucination with the drowning.
Right. Lydia saw Scott's mom.
Yeah.
So it's possible
that everybody could see this hallucination.
Everyone can see the hallucination of Claudia.
That would make sense because then it
Yes!
would... she wouldn't necessarily be evil. It's just the Ghost Riders using her as a tool to make everybody stop looking for Stiles.
And the thing about the people in Canaan was the boy had drowned, right? So it was very obvious he had drowned. And then Scott's mom had the thing in the back of her neck, very obvious. But Claudia's death was by dementia. You can't really see that on somebody, right?
It's true.
So I think we're all hallucinating here.
Look
Prediction!
at you. I like it.
It all just came, just happened. But I'm super excited. Thank y'all. Let's talk about Mr. Douglas just accidentally being in the storage closet. Just
like
accident.
like you do.
Like you do. After overhearing Liam and Hayden, which, I mean, it's now at this point we just know, like, he is not the werewolf, so he's got the super hearing. But I think he's just luring in so that he can figure out their master plan and thwart it. I don't think he's helping at all.
I can't say anything.
I think it's anytime we see these attractive newcomers, we always know something is gonna go awry.
She liked him in the beginning, and I was like,
everyone I
he's
like
cute.
at the
I
beginning.
don't trust him.
That's
You
what
can
the
still
same
like
thing
him.
with Theo. Like, I'm like, look how cute he is. He's gonna kill everyone. I know it.
CC Freak is saying, I hope we find Stiles on part A and not B. I hope so too. And people are saying, Claudia is shady. Do you guys think she's a hallucination? People said, I think Claudia will definitely be evil and maybe either killed and forgotten by the end of part A. Are they going to talk about how Liam brought back Theo? Fine! Yes. We'll talk about that.
For those of you who don't know what's happening, Kristen was just reading the chat, so we weren't just saying nonsense words.
Good point. I got distracted. I should talk about that
The
sometime.
necessary evil that is Theo.
That's what Tom on Twitter said. Could Theo be the necessary evil the pack needs? And
well, we know he's evil AF, so...
Yeah. It looks like he remembers Stiles.
That's important, yeah.
Yep, and there was something else he told us in the end. He said that the Ghost Riders wouldn't be lingering there unless they were stuck. Was that him that said that?
That's right.
Yeah,
because the Ghost Riders, the wild hunt just comes and goes. So we know now that something's awry. We also know that Mr. Douglas wants Theo gone.
Because Theo knows what's up with him. Theo,
yeah. We saw the flashes of the tank.
Yeah, it was... Do you think Theo just in the moment, lots of adrenaline, he didn't recognize him? Plus, like, I don't know how he would. Because remember when he shed all that stuff when he came out?
Exactly. My interpretation of that is I think Douglas knows, but Theo might, have... He might not know right then and there. Who knows?
He does not know what he knows.
But he will.
He brings knowledge to the table, though.
Yeah.
Instead of raw power, he brings the knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
Oh, exactly. There you go.
So they get the sword. Hayden and Liam get the sword from Kira's mom, Nushka.
Nushko.
And, you know, I don't know that this was the best idea, but they decide to bring Theo back from the depths of hell.
I will say, I love how they're able to jump between different seasons and it still makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're a big Teen Wolf fan like us, who we get the references and we get really excited about it, but if you hadn't seen anything and this is the first season you'd seen, it still makes sense. Like, you're not going, what? Like, you're not lost at all, which is really cool. And they even explain, you know, Kira's with the Skinwalkers. She trusted this sword with me. Yeah. Now I'm giving it to you, even though I think you're idiots. I was like, what is happening, Kira's mom? Like,
yeah, Izza on the chat is getting teary-eyed about Kira not coming back. People are missing Kira.
Yeah.
Kira's busy, y'all.
Yeah, she's busy skinwalking.
Those boots were made for skinwalking. So... Are you guys happy Theo is back? Because for a long time, we were like, die. Are you guys happy?
I mean, I like seeing Theo, but I feel like their propensity to be like, hey, you know who was really horrible? Peter. Here he is. You know who was really horrible? Theo. Here he is. I'm like, how is this helping?
Well, now you can be like, oh, well, at least Peter's better than Theo, or vice versa, however you interpret each character, like who did the worst thing. But yeah, no, I like that Theo is back in the sense that he presents an interesting little team playing in the fact that, you know, he wants to stay not in the ground. So, and also he wants to be helpful. I don't know, like maybe he wants to redeem himself for his past sins.
I hope so.
Who knows? I don't really know what.
Well, I like how the first thing that he asks is, "Where's my sister?" And they have to be like, "You killed her, remember?"
That was what was interesting.
Yeah. Then he stops and he's like, "Oh yeah, I was super evil." Like he has just that moment where then he's like, "Well, now I'm gonna kill you," and they're like, "If you try, we're gonna put you in the ground with this Kira sword."
That was really interesting. I hope that he comes full circle. I feel like he will. I feel like they're adding him to the pack, and it seems like Scott isn't happy about it, and it seems like Malia really isn't happy about it. So I'm excited to see her fight him, though. I was excited to see her fight the 8-year-old, and now I'm more excited to see her fight
Malia does not like 8-year-olds.
Malia is awesome. You won't kick an 8-year-old's ass, but I will.
You got to tweet at Shelly.
She's awesome.
You got to ask her, what's the deal with 8-year-olds? Why are you against 8-year-olds?
I mean...
Yeah, we're gonna ask her.
They're creepy. They're creepy, and they have old technology, and I don't want to use a VCR.
few comments from the chat. Izza saying he just wanted to say that he loved that we take the time to do this after show and bring on awesome guests like Corey.
Thank you.
And and people are saying that Theo, was asking about his sister because he's scared of her, and maybe she was the one haunting him in the hell world.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
That was their interpretation.
Oh, I like Nicholas Kelly said Claudia is not just shady, but an actual manifestation of tormented souls trapped in the underworld that's typically seen before a great calamity happens.
Okay.
In other words, Nicholas Kelly thinks it's about to go down.
Yeah. I'm
with
ready.
you. I'm with you, man. I think it's.
We got 7, 8,
The
9,
storms
10.
are brewing.
Four episodes
Pun intended.
left.
4 episodes, yeah.
So let's talk about Argent quick before we get into an interview with Corey. So Argent, you know, he's not doing so well. If they operate, they're gonna spread it more.
They whipped it good. They went full deal.
He lives.
They did.
He lives.
They did. So Melissa does her best cooking job for these 9 herbs and makes some guesses about milk and honey and all that jam. And then she slathers him up.
There wasn't any jam.
There was so jam. She lathers him up.
Right.
There was also marshmallow fluff for those who weren't paying attention. And
Yeah,
peanut butter.
everybody knows that if you get whipped by a demon, you just need to make a fluffernutter, and then you're fine.
And then you're fine. It looks like he's gonna be fine though. She
Yeah.
did a good job.
Talking about seamless editing, though, that creates comedy is when he's like, I only know the words in Celtic, and then just the perfect timing of when he's saying the word, the mugwort or whatever.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, you're going to need to spell that for me.
and he's like on the brink of death.
Well, the actors were so good. Their chemistry is very strong in that scene too. So yeah, that was cool.
good.
Yeah, they're good together.
It doesn't look like Theo is going to be able to hold the 5 billion jolts since he couldn't do the 1. So, like we found out, he lost the powers, and he's just back to classic Theo. So we'll see what happens with him.
I like that he even says classic Theo. Like, it's like
Yeah.
like the Odd Pod or whatever. Like,
You
it's
know-
like,
you
don't
know
worry.
what you did, Theo.
It's
know what you
werewolf
did.
classic.
Yeah, but you know he was besties with the Dread Doctor, so he's got a lot to tell.
He's trying to make the team work. Teamwork makes the dream work. He's going to be a team wolf, not just a teen wolf.
Yeah.
I see him. I see him
Yes.
joining the team.
Elena, what's gonna happen next episode? Other than Peter melting or coming
Well-
back from being a melted candle, I don't know.
Shall we talk about our predictions?
Yes, I think we should roll into that.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert!
No.
You're AfterBuzz TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just so you guys
the
know,
light show for the
we
prediction.
have not seen anything ahead of time. These are not spoilers. These are just our educated guesses.
Yes.
Like you guys. So, you know,
Hypothesis.
yeah, I think I've already said it. Claudia is a hallucination. I think that, you know, Peter's coming back, and Theo, yeah, I agree with Corey. I think he's going to be turning over a new rock. We're going to see a new Theo we've never seen before after Malia takes out some aggression on him, which may be sexual. I see those two together.
Really?
Yeah. I see at least a scene. You know,
I
you're
just
so
see her-
mad, and then you just make out. That's what
I don't know.
That's what I think.
I've never been like, you know who's attractive? The person I think about shooting me dead. Like,
I'm just throwing it out there.
you never know.
You never know.
Different characters get shipped on the show that I'm like not on board with and then super on board with.
She's gonna be
so-
strangling him and then being like, "Okay, it feels good." I can see her being into that.
Just a weird chokehold situation.
Yeah,
I
that's
like it.
that's
She's like,
my
"Shh,
prediction.
shh, this is attractive, and he's like, I'm dying.
That's what I'm going with. How about you?
Okay. I think she's just gonna lay the smackdown. I think Theo is getting his ass kicked next week, and I think Stilinski is finally gonna start
Yes!
seeing the light.
The Room. He's a believer now. He's a big believer.
Seeing the light, not just the lightning.
And the chat is throwing Theo back in the ground. They say he's going back. Corey, since you don't know anything beyond this episode, do you have a wild and crazy
A wild
situation you want to throw out there that may or may not happen?
You know, with Team Wolf, it's hard to predict anything because they're just going to throw you curveballs. So, I don't know. I'm thinking Mortal Kombat style tournament fight with everybody.
Yes!
That would be
Can
awesome.
you imagine a Team of Mortal Kombat game where it's like
Finish him.
all the monsters? You can play a monster.
Werewolf annihilation.
Yeah.
I'm into
I
it.
want to be a Kenema.
Little Street Fighter action.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to be Kenema. Who are you going to be? I'll fight you.
Ooh, I think I want to be a banshee so I can just stand in the corner and scream from safety.
Corey, who are you going to be?
I'm gonna be Dread Doctor.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, this Kenema is going to take on Dread Doctor and the Banshee. You guys need to watch next week and see what happens. But before that, we're gonna lay down an interview with Corey Trench. Exclusive. AfterBuzz. Exclusive.
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
They just repeat what I say.
We like echoes on this show.
We do. I love it.
Whoa. T-Pain. The assist.
Corey. I know.
T-Pain bringing the teen pain.
So talk about, I want to know, this whole journey has probably just been, such a dream for you. Did you always want to be an editor when you were younger? And how did you know?
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, I would always draw comic books, and so I knew like the storytelling aspect of my life started from there. It started from making these little comic books, but in terms of editing, I didn't really get into that until high school. We had a broadcast journalism course at my high school, and I was learning Final Cut Pro, and we were cutting skits, like SNL type skits for the morning announcements and stuff like that. And I would just have all my friends act in these things, and like my favorite part was taking it and cutting it up and making it into something. So that was like my favorite part of the process. And then, coming out here to Los Angeles, I mean, that was the goal, was I want to edit on films and television. So I would cut shorts on the side when I wasn't working. And then when I found my way into the Teen Wolf land of things, I again, under Ed, I learned a lot. And he taught me a lot of like techniques and things like that. He was always very good at showing me like why he was doing what he was doing. So by the time I got bumped up to editor, like I already knew like half the things he needed to do, and the rest of my learning process came from just cutting this episode, like learning little things here and there about the process. So that was good.
What did you learn from cutting this episode that you didn't know before?
What I learned, I would say overall, is music changes everything. So when you go in to cutting an episode of Teen Wolf, we have a huge library of score that Dino, by the way, Dino did a terrific job on this whole episode. Yeah. He made it wonderful. But and also we have a lot of scores that we use from other movies and TV shows to just, for temp, we just want to establish like, okay, what's the mood of the scene? And so in that process of picking stuff out, like things change. Obviously, the pacing changes, the mood changes. So when somebody's not liking a scene the way it's cut, sometimes you just need to change the music, and that'll affect how we perceive the scene and stuff like that. So that and also problem solving, just in general with like, we want to like make the scene scarier. So like, how do you make it scarier? Well, you use different shots. The pacing is a little different. Maybe you make it a little darker in color correction, things like that. So I learned a lot about that, making things scarier, which is always important on Teen Wolf.
How many hours, did it go into this episode? Because I know it takes
hundreds of hours.
Yeah, I don't think the people at home know how many hours it takes for each episode.
It takes a long time, but what's great about the whole process is you have a lot of people that are giving their input, like Jeff, for example, giving his input, Russell. Everyone has kind of like an idea of like the direction of where certain things should go. So you can have an idea, and then they have an idea, and then it just builds and builds and builds, and it's all kind of collaboration to make the episode what it is.
So hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Oh yeah,
per episode.
Yes, like looking at all the footage, finding the best takes. Like it takes a lot of work, but
how long do you normally have on average in between, shooting and when they have the final product out? Like how?
We usually have a few weeks to put in an editor's cut, and that's with music, putting in sound effects too. Like we put in our own sound effects, and in fact, I want to give a shout out to my assistant editor, Kristen, who helped me with the sound effects for this episode. So it really helps when you have an assistant that will speed the process along when you putting in sound effects and stuff like that. So. But yeah, it's all in a couple of weeks, and then we're off to the races with director's cut and producer's cut and locking. So
that's a lot of work in a small amount of time. It's
like... so fun though. It's so fun. I mean, some days it's like you're banging your head against the wall because you're trying to fix something, and you got to move on to the next scene. And that's another thing Ed taught me. Like sometimes if something's not clicking in a scene, you're not understanding like, oh, what do I need to do to make the scene better? You just move on, and then you can come back to it later, and that's a good thing. Gives you new perspective on things, and staying. And it was fun watching the episode tonight too, because I was like, wow, this is like amazing to watch it in this format. And my worry was always like, if I watch it over and over, am I ever going to get tired of it, having seen it so many times? And no, this was like a joy to watch it in its format, so that was cool.
That's awesome.
That was really cool. But yeah, it was with thanks to a lot of people that made it happen. So.
Now, we heard about pranks that happen on the set of Teen Wolf, but what about, behind the scenes in the editor's room, at the office? Are there pranks that happen?
I mean, normally it's like, this is kind of not, it's very innocent, but I remember one really good prank that someone pranked me. So it was my birthday that day, and it was a particularly stressful day, and we just had a lot of things going on. And I remember, I was just in the middle of doing something, and then Ed was like, Corey, I need something, and I'm like, oh, what possibly could happen now? And then I walk into my room and they're like, happy birthday. So they tricked me, and I was like, oh, you guys got me. I totally forgot it was my birthday. We always do that at the office. We always celebrate people's birthdays, which is really nice, like a little family. Yeah. So that was a sweet prank. But yeah, nothing crazy happens at
That's
Team
less of a prank and more of a thank.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be mad. It's like, oh, cake, great.
If anybody ever pranked me with cake, I think I would be like, let's keep this prank war going. I'm all about this cake.
I wouldn't mind a cake prank myself. AfterBuzz, if you got any cake, just go ahead and
if you ever
throw it
want
out
to prank
here.
us with delicious food,
I'm totally fine with that. Corey, so if you weren't editing, what would you do?
What would I do if I wasn't editing? I would probably be teaching. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What would you teach?
I would teach editing. I feel like I would.
Oh, okay.
I would be teaching the filmmaking or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be doing that.
Because I know you're also a filmmaker, right? So you don't just edit on the side. You have some side projects.
True. Yes. It's been a while since I've worked on something of my own, but yeah, no, I like directing. I like writing. All that kind of stuff.
Are you working on something else right now?
I am, something I can't talk about, but it's a project I'm very excited about, and if it does well, then maybe you'll hear about it on Twitter.
Yeah, what's your Twitter that we can follow you on?
So my Twitter handle is Corey Trench. So if you type in CoreyTrench, you'll find me. And
Nice.
I'm not on there very often, but again, when you hear about something big coming through,
we can follow you and get the updates.
You'll
on
get the
there.
updates.
and he'll be tagged too in our posts about this episode, so you can
Yes.
follow
You can
him
follow
that
him
way
that
on
way.
Twitter too.
Yes.
Corey, for the people at home who want to work in the industry, kids, not sure how to break in, what to do, what do you suggest?
You need to start watching a lot of movies and watching a lot of television and looking at it very critically. Why do you like it? Why do you not like it? Also, if you're very serious about moving out to Los Angeles or New York, get good at networking, get good at talking to people, telling people what you're interested in. Figure out what that thing is early, because it makes it a lot easier to tell people, I'm interested in editing, as opposed to I'm interested in everything. Like, okay, everyone's interested in all aspects of filmmaking. I love all aspects of filmmaking.
I want to work on a movie!
I want to work on a movie. But no, if you're serious about it, like acting, directing, all of it, writing, just focus on telling people that's the one thing you want to work on. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to give you that job, but it gives them an idea of like, okay, you're interested in writing. I might know about some writing assistant gigs or writer's PA or whatever. It just gives them an idea of where to push you in what direction. So
Awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome.
be specific. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining
guys.
us, Corey. This
Always
has
a
been so
pleasure.
much fun having
got a
you.
question.
Oh, we've got a question from the engineer.
What is a movie you think every editor or filmmaker should watch?
yeah.
Ooh, that's a great question.
Well, I really think that a movie that I've always thought was very well paced, and I think it's entertaining in general. Goodfellas. You got to watch Goodfellas, and Thelma Schumacher. I always mispronounce the last name, but she did a terrific job on that movie, and that movie moves very well and it's very well paced. That's an overall piece. So I think when you think editing, sometimes people don't. The thing is, you're not supposed to notice it. You're supposed to. It's supposed to be seamless. I mean, other times you are supposed to notice when it's stylized, but I think that movie in general, it has both. It's stylized and it's seamless. So I would suggest that movie.
Awesome.
Nice.
Shout out to James, our awesome engineer,
Yes,
plugging away on
James.
those sound bites. Thanks so much, James. Elena, where can the fans follow you and keep up to date?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Elena Jordan and on Instagram at That Elena Jordan Girl. And you can also find me, of course, here on Teen Wolf. The end of the month, Face Off is coming back, so be sure to watch the after show for that too.
Sweet. And Corey, we can follow you at Corey Trench.
That's right, on Twitter.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Again,
really
thank you
appreciate
guys.
it.
And
Hey,
where
you
can we
guys.
find you, Kristen?
I am at Cinematic Escape.
Cinematic Escape.
Cinematic Escape? Do I have to do it because Ryan's not here? I'm going to be posting a nice little crowdfunder tweet later for my friend who's working on a great project. They are trying to get healthcare for the rural areas of Nicaragua. So go ahead and check that out. I'm going to tweet that later. Of course, I'm going to tweet this episode and all of our thoughts. And thank you guys so much for watching every week. This has been so much fun. Looking forward to next week. And until then, have a great night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.